I'm gonna get started, and people in the office or in Zoom filter in, they'll miss the little beginning. But I always preface to start my classes, I love questions, I love comments. If you have a question, comment in the middle of what I'm teaching, please interrupt me. That's the best way I feel like everyone can learn, because if you have a question, likely someone else has a question. So please feel free to interrupt and that sort of thing. If you are using Canva, you can interject with things you've used it for or challenges you faced with it, et cetera, et cetera. We can always talk through that. And essentially, I want, especially as I display the office account that I'm in all the time, I think I make 10 to 20 graphics a day. So when you look at it, don't freak out. I also have a 4-year degree in visual design. So I learned Adobe and like Photoshop and all those things over 4 years of classes. So that's why the designs may look a little different than what you create at the beginning, and that's okay. And that's why I'm gonna give some like tips and tricks based off of just some like photography, graphic design things, like the rule of thirds. What the heck is that? How can I use it, right? There's a lot of different things to just make the quality of your graphics just that little bit higher. So we're gonna get started. I'm gonna share my screen here. It's not the computer I'm interested in. I'm always on a Mac, so this is always a problem. So, yeah, okay. So right now I am in a free account. I literally made this account yesterday, so it's gonna look the same way as if you made an account today. This is, again, the free version, and I think that there's a lot that you can do with free. You don't need premium, but there are some features in premium that I love and adore and use every day. So it's that give and take of the things that you know you'll use versus the things you would like to use. And frankly, start with the free and see if it covers what you want it to do, especially if you're going to use this occasionally, or if you're going to build kind of 1 or 2 templates and then reuse it. So like listing graphics, if you do a just sold, you can use it for all your just solds, right? So then you don't need to do a ton of stuff. Like I said, I think I make at least 10 designs a day, so the sheer amount of stuff that I do leads us into the premium. But right now, we are logged into the main dashboard. So I'm in this little home section on the left side. We're just gonna kind of go over some of the key buttons that are here. One of the things that I like to acknowledge is right along this top bar. We have tons of drop downs, and this is where you can kind of see the different options, especially this Learn tab. If what we do today sparks an interest, like I want to make more flyers, right? You can go here to access these guides, right? So the Learn tab is great when you're ready to do something specific, right? But then you can also search other articles and resources. You can look at trends of what other people are doing. So this Learn tab is something you can always return to. It's there in both the free and the premium. So you can find the resources to do exactly what you want to do. Like some people build little video clips in here, right? They'll put together moving graphics. Like that is like a whole nother, that's my advanced, part of my advanced class, I would say, is to make moving graphics and things like that, stories for your Instagram or Facebook. So when you're ready to do something specific in terms of these designs, that's the tab you'll want to go to. If you are interested in moving from the free to the pro, this is where you can kind of go for plans and pricing, just to know how much it costs, that sort of thing. You don't really need Teams at this point. I would say Teams is for like a very large company. We don't use that to begin with as like our office. Laura and I just log into the same account and look good, right? This would come more if, you know, you had tons and tons of people who were allowed to work on like certain types of designs. So ignore Teams, but Pro is going to be the premium option that I'm gonna show you in part of this class. Hello, welcome.
Hello.
So that is just some of the top menu. You can always go in your account, here's some of the account settings, that sort of thing. But then the thing that I normally run to then is this create a design button in the upper right. So you can click this and it'll give you a bunch of suggested graphics. Now this is essentially picking, like if you went to the store, the poster size, right? Like when you're making a project as a school kid, right? Do you need the 50-inch by 100-inch poster board, or is a 20 by 20 good enough, right? So this is where we decide what project size we're working on. And it's important to pick the right one at the beginning, especially in free, because you cannot resize your design easily in the free account. You can in premium, and I'll show that, but there is a significant amount of like having to adapt your design with the new size, right? So picking the right size of what you're creating off the bat is super important. So you'll see here in the original drop down, it has things like Instagram post, presentation. So you could use this instead of PowerPoint and start building cool presentations, right? You could do your listing presentation in here. Instagram story, Facebook posts. You'll see there's all sorts of options. The ones I use most regularly are Instagram post. So this is a 1080 by 1080 pixel square. You can also choose specifically by pixel sizes or things like that. So if you ever get a printer who wants something specific, which they normally do, Jennifer's nodding her head as we build signage, and then they're like, we need this bleed and this, and we're like, you know, so you can go specifically for the things the printers need if you're doing things in print by going down to this custom size button. So if I click custom size, I can literally tell them the width and height in pixels or inches, millimeters, or centimeters. And normally a printer will send it in pixels or inches. So you can also choose that custom size to decide how big your thing is going to be. But just working off of the templates, I'm using Instagram Square a lot for social media because that looks good on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, right? Those are like LinkedIn, all of these social platforms will use a square size. So you can absolutely do that. That way if you're making social media posts, it's one and done. Otherwise, you make something Facebook's post size, then you post it on Instagram, it may look a little cut off or too wide or too small, because if it's too wide, you know, then it shrinks on the Instagram platform. Whereas things do look better wider on Facebook since a lot of people access that via desktop. So that's why you'll see Facebook post, it's actually smaller in pixels, but because it's that wider landscape, it's gonna like shrink down on your phone screen.
So is it better to do the Facebook post? Because if we post on Facebook, it automatically, if you have a link, will generate into Instagram, right?
Correct.
So is it better to work in the Facebook post?
No, so then it would be better to work in Instagram post, because the sizing will look good on both Facebook and Instagram.
Okay.
So that's why I normally just do the square.
Okay.
And try to work within that for social media. The difference when I wouldn't is if, say, you were making a graphic for a Facebook event, right? You can literally search different things here. So if I search Facebook, you'll see specifically for a Facebook ad, a Facebook event cover. So if you're running a Facebook event, you can do these custom sizes. You'll see Facebook post square is also the same as the Instagram post square. It's 1080 by 1080. So it's entirely up to you. But this is a great way where you can say, okay, I'm specifically making a cover for my business page. You can just go here, it's sized appropriately. Now, it being sized appropriately, you will have to play with the display. Because if you've noticed on some displays for Facebook covers, it like narrows it. So you want all your content to be in the middle for that sort of thing. Whereas a post, it doesn't collapse it, right? It just shows the square. So that's just something to remember, that like, oh, Facebook covers is a certain size because of the way it can display on a desktop, but then on a mobile device, it like shrinks and narrows, and they just show the middle.
How did you drop down where it gave you all the differences in Facebook?
Yeah. So, let me go back. So when I hit create design,
Right,
there's this search bar up top,
okay.
and then I can search whatever I want to do. I can do flyer, oops, if I could spell correctly. Flyer, and so, but then you'll see here, it gives me flyers with a bunch of different dimensions, right? So there's a 5.5 by 8.5. So those are smaller. Things you guys might use are postcard, if you're doing a postcard design. And these, you do have to hover over it to see the size, but see there's 8.5 by 5.5, but then there's this one that's 5.5 by 4.3. So there's all sorts of different options, but you can use this to find your templates for social designs, for print designs. I do a lot of the 8.5 by 11 flyer for like the office flyer. So I'm doing the portrait 8.5 by 11 flyer. So that's if you're doing an event and you want to print it on 8.5 by 11 paper, that's going to be the best size there. For starting, essentially it's just, giving you that print board of what you're working with. So that is the create a design option. Now you can also scroll, and you'll see here in the middle, it will give you different options of like, what are you going to design today? And you could choose social media, and then it will give you the most popular social media sizes. So you can see here, I could pick specifically Instagram story and build a design that's just for my stories, right? Because we know the posts show up mostly square, but those Instagram stories are vertical and tall. So it's an entirely different kind of design. So everything that you build is going to be different. Now again, like I said, in premium, you can resize. So if you build a post to just post on your socials, you could convert it into an Instagram story much easier in premium. Or here you could, copy and paste and then create a new design with a new size. Any questions here with just like our starting templates? And people online, feel free to jump on mute or go in the chat. I'm happy to go there. The last other thing, if there are no questions, is this left-hand menu that you'll see under my account. And then of course, since I'm free, it's pushing me to upgrade to premium. But what you'll see here is after home, which is where I'm at right now, we have projects. So you could essentially use this just like a folder on your computer desktop, right? And sort, add more folders. Oops, come on, there we go. So you could create, your own new folder and say, this is all of my listing graphics, right? These are things I use when I have a listing. So this could be a template for just listed, under contract, just closed, open house, right? And then you could have it all together, all in one place in a folder. So that's the benefit of using projects. And again, this is available both in free and premium, that you can start to sort your designs there. Templates is essentially giving you ideas. So again, we're going back to the sizing templates. Popular topics, so you'll see inspirational, summer, and so they're going to give you ideas of things to design, graduation cards, that sort of thing. So I'm normally not here in templates too much unless I was specifically looking for a certain type of template. So you'll see here, since Threads came out, now they have templates that you can use specifically for the new social media platform, Threads. Do I think we should all hop on that right now? No. focus on your other stuff. Then we'll see if it sticks around, and then we can decide. Hiring essentials, so you're hiring a new, person to your team. You can advertise that. Brand designer, so you could use this for letterheads and logos and business cards, right? So there's tons and tons of templates that you can start to check out and use as inspiration. They even have like all these different like color themes. So just like, the filters that you can put over your selfies, where it's like teal and orange, like all the different styles, you can kind of look by color collection and style here. So it's like, oh, purple modern business presentation. You'll see here, because I was searching real estate, it's showing me more optional real estate templates. So the templates is essentially, to me, a great, in your head, what am I gonna design? What do I want it to look like? You can look at these other ideas and then say, yep, I like the style of that, and start building. So a great thing to check out. And then the last thing is the brand hub. Now we're gonna go back to this toward the end of this class, because this is a premium option. So right now, if I click on brand hub, it doesn't let me do anything. It says try it free for 30 days, learn more, it's in premium. But as you'll see when I show it to you within the office account, this is something that is super handy if you want to set up brand guidelines for yourself. This is just, as you're creating designs, you can choose the fonts you always use. You can choose the colors you always use. You can have your logos prepped in there. So literally when you're making a design, now you just drag and drop and you pick the colors. You don't have to search the code and find the color. It's all right there at your fingertips. And for me, it makes it super easy. It's like KW red, and I pop it in, and now we have the red we always use, right? So I love the brand hub, and so that's why I'm gonna come back to it, because we use it literally, Laura can just go and be like, boom, 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 I have all the compliance things, ding, 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 and everything's compliant. So that is one of the big things. So we're gonna come back to it. Check the chat, is anything? Okay. So let's get to the fun stuff. Let's make a design. So I did make a sample, which is not showing up right now. Normally it feeds it right in the home screen. Let's see if I can reload the home screen. It'll show your most recent, there we go. So this was a recent design that I made. So if I want to go back to a design I worked on before, it's typically on your home screen and then in these recent designs. But for now, I'm going to just show you how I prepped it. So I want to make a just listed post for a house, right? So I'm going to click create a design, and I know I'm posting this on social media. This is for my Instagram, this is going to go on my Facebook, on my LinkedIn, to advertise this new listing. So I'm going to choose Instagram post square, since that's what I normally like to use in terms of size. And it's going to open up now my editor window. Sometimes it pops up like this. If you just started your account, it's going to kind of walk you through some of the options. So that's why some of these pop-ups are showing up. But you can share this with someone else. So you could share it over. Warning on this, if they don't make a copy, they're going to mess with your design. So if you don't want them to finish with your design, do not share it, right? If you're willing to let them play with it, share your design, or let them know, hey, make a copy of this in your own account before you play with it, right? So that's really big just to remember when you're sharing designs. That's why people, they're always like, can I share with you and you help me edit? And I was like, yes, I will make a copy, but now with my copy lives in the office account. So you always have to know that when you're sharing it, it becomes open to everybody, right? So you don't have the ability to lock it down or lock certain things. That's only within your account. And if you had a team, you could lock within your own account. But as soon as you share it with anyone, now they have free reign to do whatever. And hopefully no one will do this to you. but they could go to just delete everything you worked on, right? So be really, really careful of who you share this with, especially the live design. Now, you can share the finalized design, just export it, share the finalized design. You could leave blanks in there for them to upload it into their own Canva and then add dates or times. So a way people have been using this is, say you have an open house you're running, but someone else at the office is going to run it for you, right? You can have a spot for them to add their own headshot, add the times, but it's still the branding style of your business. You can absolutely do that. Just lock it down as a PNG, JPEG, and we'll talk about exporting. And then they can just upload the image in and add their own text and stuff over it. So that's a good way to control your designs. So right now you'll see here on my dashboard right now I have the blank document, and then on the left-hand side we have a giant menu of different, what I would call assets and different things that you can add to your design. Now the first thing that I would do is in this first tab, design templates. So these are templates that Instagram has curated, so other people have created. And I'll search real estate because that would probably be a template that you guys would think first. You can literally search real estate, and now you can see there's a huge template library of different graphics you can share, things like that. So literally this one is home buying process in 7 steps, right? This is already prepped. You can just delete the headshot that's in there, put your own headshot in, make sure it's compliant, and then boom, you have a social media post, right? So there are tons of things that they've already prepped, like this one. It's a seller tip. You can either use the tip they literally put in here, you can do ChatGPT and say seller tips and copy and paste and make 7 different ones of this template, right? So there are tons and tons of different options. But the first thing I'd like to highlight is, again, we're in the free, so you'll see this one has a crown, and then when I hover over it, it says Pro. So if I try to click this one, it's gonna tell me, sorry, you can't use it, this is a premium design. Now, I can look at this design right now and say, all right, I can recreate that myself, right? It's 3 pictures with a rectangle over it and some text, right? So you can absolutely recreate templates that you see. If you really like something here and you don't want to pay for Pro, you can recreate what it is. It's just more work on your end because it's not a template. You can just add in the address and swap the photos out, right? So that's one of the things to remember there. So this was the post that I had been editing previously. So I'm going to use that. And as you can see here, it shows me more like this. So once I click on a template, then it goes, okay, you like a template like this. And then it will show you more templates and more options. And sometimes if it's a listing post, they'll be like, and here's a open house post that's just like this one, right? And so you can find literally your whole series of templates based off of one template. Now, is there always an option for just listed, just sold, and open house in what's pre-created? Not always, but then we can duplicate it and edit it and make it that open house post instead of the just listed. From here, we're just gonna walk down the menu on the left because it's just important to know what options you have. So after design, which is the template, the initial template you wanna use, unless you like to work from blank. The next one here is elements. Now, if you're into social media, things like that, I think of elements as like stickers in your social stories, right? These are going to be, as you can see, lines and shapes, different graphics you might want to add. So if you want to add your website URL, maybe I'm also going to use this website icon that pops up, right, in my graphics. Maybe I'll add, rectangle and create my own like footer or that sort of thing. You can search all sorts of things. So this is when you could search house and find a bunch of little icons for houses, right? And as you'll see, some of these are free and some of these are, again, the Crown and the Pro. So that's the only thing. If you are in a free account, you won't be able to use these little graphics. This is where you'll see, like if you've seen this rooftop and a bunch of people's logos, this is where it came from. See this all the time. But you can search anything, like for sale sign, and it'll pull up different little pre-made sale things. I can drag and drop this in. And again, you see this one's the crown. So it has the little Canva watermark over it. But that might be really cool. So maybe I do want to upgrade to premium to have that little sale sign in the corner. So elements are all things that you can add. Now, it also pulls up photos and videos. So again, if you wanted to include this as your image instead, you can drag and drop different photos in. But again, watch, most of this content is going to be, especially in terms of photos or videos, part of that premium service. But you guys are in a visual industry, so you have your own photos for listings and things like that. So it's not always going to be a big detriment to you not to have these kind of images. The next tab here is text. So text, just like you would think, allows you to put different text into your design. They do have font combinations, which is kind of cool if you'd like to make a theme, that sort of thing. They have one that has the background, looks like it's glowing, right? They have a sparkle one, right? And you can change what it says, but it's already got that sort of fun design. The other way I use this, if I scroll toward the bottom, is it shows font combinations. And this is kind of a graphic design text thing, but if I click on this, it's a font that is sans serif, which means it doesn't have those little icons on the top and bottom, and then it's mixed with a serif font. So it's a less formal modern font mixed with a more formal font. And this is a really pretty font mixed together. So you can use it as a title and as a subtitle. Now that's just getting into like some extreme graphic design, but mixing serif and sans serif is, different things like this. So this one, the Dapper, is my serif font, and then this one is my sans serif font. So just finding different fonts that look good together is a great way to add a little bit more pizzazz to your design, that all the font isn't the same, but the fonts look good together. So that's something to think about as well. So check these out, see if any of them really speak to your brand, because then you could always use the same one over and over again. Where's another one? Like this is if you're hosting a Scooby-Doo party, this is what this one reminds me of. You can get all the different vibes with the different fonts. But if I scroll back up to the top, you'll see here in default text styles, you could just use this as your heading, subheading, and body text. So the title, the little subtitle, and then your main content. So this would be, this is my heading, this might be my subheading font, and then this could be my little body text font. If you have premium, these default text styles will be the fonts you choose for your brand. So then you can immediately, when you're making a design, use those fonts you always use. So for the office, the font that I chose was Glacial Indifference, and it'll literally show that as the title of my font, and it always uses that same font. I default it in all the designs until I'm ready to do something for an event or training that's different, right? So everything else always defaults to that one. So that's something you, again, can't do in the free account, but that I always lean toward. Okay, put my heading text in, and it's always the same bolded of the Glacial Indifference font, and that's how I use it. And here too, so you could click right here in the premium account, right to the brand hub, and see all your colors, your logos. And so this is where, Laura's helping me with the design. She's gonna pop in and drag and drop the logo in, and it's click, click, done. The next tab here is uploads. So you'll see here, you can do this where we have our office compliant logos. I did not need to add that in. So that means it has each office is independently owned and operated and equal housing already put in. So if you want those, I can send them to you, and they make things super quick and easy, because then you just are like, yep, here, I'm fully compliant with this logo. You can upload your headshot. So see here, I could click it and add it to my design, and then I could put it in the bottom right and resize it. So this is a great way you can add in your headshot. One of the things that I miss in the free account is the background remover. So for this, it's gonna live like this in my design. But if you have premium, you could click edit photo and choose this background remover. And then it would just be the profile instead of the background of my headshot, which the background of my headshot was actually a dumpster. That's fun. It had cool color.
Wait, how did you get rid of the background? What did you do?
It's this VG remover under edit photo when you have the photo selected. And I can show that in the premium account when we switch over. But that is one of my favorite features that does not exist in free, because frankly, if I was gonna add my headshot to this design, I would not want this background happening. I would just want it to be, you know, my image sticking out of this graphic. But that would just be my personal preference. How you could get around this in a free account is you could say, Colleen, can you remove the background from my headshot? And then we could have one that's already a transparent background, slap it on, and now your headshot's cut out, right? But you would need someone else to crop out the background of your image. But we can absolutely do that because I have the background remover, so we can always get you those. You can add in, this is where you'll upload listing photos, different things like that, other people's logos. So if you're doing events with a vendor, we'll put in their logos here, and you can always access the assets. So if I wanted to find my headshot and it wasn't up here, I could just search my name, because I labeled my document to be my name, right? So then I can search and always find that. The same thing if I wanted to find logo, and I didn't label the Keller Williams ones as logos. So now I can't find that. So I have to know what I labeled my files, KWSR. Right, and then I can quickly and easily find, as you'll see in our premium account, we have like thousands and thousands of uploads at this point. So being able to search, like if I'm making something for Dagmar, I'm just gonna search Dagmar, and then your headshot pops up for me. I can pull it right away. So you can always add everything to your uploads tab. Next we'll go to draw. Now I never use this because I am not good at drawing. So I will fully acknowledge, I never use this tab. But if you're good at it, or you like to use it and maybe in a presentation to make it look like something's like manually highlighted, this could be something you use in a design. Like I might take the highlighter and like highlight, see how bad I am? But maybe you're better, you just did your hand. I definitely don't, I have hand tremors, so that's not gonna work great. But you can do and edit a document even. If you had like an 8.5 by 11 thing and you wanted to highlight a part of a document, you could use Canva to do that. But I'm sure there are other programs that work just the same to do that. Here I can drop down to my projects tab. So then I could find things that I had made in terms of like other listing graphics and that sort of thing. And I could upload those files into a design. So maybe you made kind of like a email signature graphic that you always put at the bottom of your posts, and then it's completely compliant and it has your headshot, your name, your phone number, email address, and it's all put together with the logos, and you just put that at the bottom of all your designs. You can absolutely do that, and you would just pull literally the project in from something you made before into your new design. And it makes it really, really easy to utilize like multi-levels of projects. And then down here at the very bottom, there are apps. I wouldn't get too involved in this. Again, this might be the advanced class, but you can add more emojis, you can add video, like there's the flow code connection, so if you have that for your QR codes, you can pull that in, but you have to have an account with that sort of outside program. So I'm not gonna talk about this too much. The only other thing that I frequently go to is background, where I could choose the background of my image and swap out. So say I wanted particularly like a gray gradient as my background. I can type that in and find all sorts of like pre-made color backgrounds that I might be able to drag and drop and play with. So for example, like this one, I could drag and drop it in, and now you'll see it change the whole background of my image specifically. So when you're in this tab, it automatically knows you want that to go at the very back of your image, and it's gonna fill the back. So you can absolutely go in here and check out different like textures and styles. I really like the gradient ones. It gives simple designs kind of a little bit more depth. A lot of people will use these ones that look like photo backdrops too. So those are good options. The one thing to note is that the busier the design is, the more eye straining your design is gonna be. So you wanna keep things as simple as possible. So if I chose a background, and I'm just gonna start a new page, like this, my text is probably going to be very large and white, and that's it, right? I'm gonna keep the design very, very simple because my background is so messy. Whereas if I have a very simple background, like this, I can play a bit more with adding more things to it, adding different designs and logos and lines and that sort of thing. So to me, simpler is better and less is more. Is like the biggest thing to remember there. Any questions here in like the initial design menu or design tab before I show some tips for actually editing the design? So I'm going to go into editing the design. I'm just going to delete the headshot, so say I don't want this right now. I can click on it and you'll see it highlights my headshot and just backspace, and now it's removed from my design. So if I was editing this, let's say this is the template I chose, and we'll pretend this is the image of the house. If it wasn't, you would go to your uploads, you choose whatever picture of the house you uploaded, and you can either drag and drop it into the template. So you'll see here, I could drag and drop it in. We'll pretend this is a house for a second, and you'll see this looks pretty yucky. Maybe I want my face. Now I can double click on this and drag it. So now you can see my pretty face instead. If you're saying, okay, I don't like this, you can undo. And if I undo, I can always go back to what the original was. But anytime you have a photo, it kind of acts as a placeholder. So you can always replace it with a different photo in the same shape. So you'll see here the house is very long and narrow. If I want to keep that long and narrow, I'm just going to drag an image in from my uploads or from the elements. Now, if I don't want this size, so say I want my headshot to look that tall vertical, I'm just gonna click it, and it's gonna add into the design here. And you'll see here, it's not the shape of this photo, and it is tall and narrow, like I want my headshot to be. And then I can drag and resize, putting on the corner here. I can go down to the bottom. Let's say I want my headshot right there. You will notice, as I hover over the other image, it tries to swap it out, right? So that's one of the things a lot of people fall into issues with. They're like, I keep trying to put my headshot right here, but it tries to load into the background image. So to get it to stop doing that, let's see, I did not want that to happen. Just back out, that little back arrow up top. This design I want this image to stay, I'm going to control right click. And then you'll see there's a lock option. And so you want to make sure you've selected the photo, you hit control right click, and you can lock the background or lock the image. You can also do it just from the top menu where you click it, and there's this little lock up top. And now I can click lock. It's going to lock the image and the position where the image is. So now when I hover over it with this other image, see, it doesn't try to make it to that background image. Yeah.
Where's your control right click?
Control, so control is your control button.
Right.
So for you, you're on a Mac, right? Yeah. It would be, I think, command. Right click. See, it's so hard, I'm always on a Mac, and now I'm on this Dell. Or,
No, I have control and I have command, but right, like your R?
yeah, so like on.
I'm really stupid right now.
No, you're good. On your computer, I don't wanna like disconnect, but the little track square.
Right.
The right side of it, right bottom.
Got
Yep. And then it should pull up a menu for you, and there's lock. It might be for you guys on Mac's command, right? Let's try that.
Let me try it.
They work. No?
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
I can come over there and we can check it out.
I was gonna say, I don't wanna take up your class.
No, that's what this is for. Let's see. And then I'll come.
Alright, so.
Okay. I turn this off for a second, guys, because I'm out of speakers. All right, so you'll just want to make sure you're on the image.
Okay.
Because it looked like you were on the line.
Okay.
So that's different. And then control, yeah.
Okay.
So control, hold down control once you have the image selected.
Okay.
And then the bottom right, it'll pull up this, and then you have the lock option. So you try.
Is it control, wait, I'm here, correct?
Yep, so make sure you have that selected first in purple. Yep,
Okay.
there you go.
Thank
And now
you.
you have the lock.
Thank you very much.
Did you guys get it?
Yes, it happens.
Nice. Yes. Okay.
Just locking the photo.
So you're gonna hit control, and then you're gonna right click with your mouse.
Oh,
Yes, that, but I didn't see the lock.
So
The
that's,
lock's up there, so I can just use that.
yeah. So you may want to try it,
Maybe that's what happened.
because this is not a mouse. That's your keyboard. Because see,
So
there
now that's all
you
there.
didn't right click on the image. So make sure you have the image selected. So left click on the image, there you go, and then right click. So now you have it there. Nice. Very good.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right. All right, people on Zoom, is anyone else having issues with doing that? We can always hop on Zoom and double check that sort of thing. But the lock is going to be one of your like best friends, so that you can lock down the things you like in the design and then keep editing things, especially if you're gonna layer on top. So that's something I always use, because I want this house image to stay there, but maybe I want to move my headshot around on top of it and stick my headshot on the right side down here in the corner. I don't want my headshot to constantly be trying to go into the image, the other image. That's just annoying. So I lock down the other image and say, yep, I like this, I like it where it is, and then you can lock it that way. Then the next thing, so for this one, maybe I do like this modern home for sale. Or maybe I wanted to say modern home just listed instead. So you'll see here, whatever text is in here, you can click on it to change the font up here at the top. to change the font size, make it bold, make it not bold. So the same thing you can do on like a Word document editor, if you just click on it. If you want to edit the text and what it says, you'll double click, and now it will give you your cursor within the text box, able to edit the text, right? So I'll go over that quick again. If you just want to change the font, the color, the size, that sort of thing, you will click on the text once. So it's just highlighted in purple on the outside. And then you can choose your new font, open sans, and then I can increase it to 45, and I can make it bold, right? But like here, I switched it to just listed, because before it said for sale. For that, I wouldn't just click once, I'm gonna click twice. So you're gonna double click, and it's gonna give you the opportunity to edit what's inside the text box.
So now that we're in the text box, how did you? Okay, I think I've got it. So like up on the top is where I would edit fonts and, okay.
So you have to choose once it's selected, right? So you just always wanna make sure that the text that you wanna change is selected with that purple box.
Okay.
And then anything up top can get added. So you can add an effect, you can make it left aligned, center aligned.
How do we make it so that the just listed spreads out so that it's underneath the modern home?
Absolutely. So you'll see here, the font is too big for the text box.
Okay.
So what I'll do here is you see now on the outside, I have the 4 dots and these 2 little lines on the side. Now I can drag that and make my text box wider. And then I can make it as wide as my font is. And now I can drag and drop in there. And you'll see here as I start to move it, wait, I went ahead, I'm sorry. So I made it wide, right?
Yeah.
And now, sorry. Slow down, Colleen.
I know, it wouldn't let me, it wasn't letting me do it. And then she does it, and I know I'm just like.
Yay!
This is the stuff that like I just get so aggravated with
Right.
Canva. I'm like, forget it. I'm not doing it. It's not happening.
Yeah.
It wasn't meant to be. I'm too stupid.
You're not. It's little things that
I'm
you
like,
don't think about.
Yeah, I'm like too old, can't do it.
Yeah. So this, and the only other thing you might fall into
People from the homes can't do it.
is if I accidentally hit enter, it's going to be on the 2 lines, even if it's wide enough.
Okay.
So always make sure you didn't hit enter to
Okay.
put it on another line. Now, if you did want to hit enter and have it stacked within the same text box, but say this is too wide, right? It's just listed, it's too far apart, and I want it to stack more on each other, then you can click this little spacing icon, and you can do line spacing, and now I can shrink the space between the letters within the same text box. So that's in the spacing.
Okay.
And it's the same thing, you could change the spacing between the letters too. Super cool. So that's how you can make it stacked, but closer together without making a new text box, right? Put it underneath. But if I don't want it to be on 2 lines, I can just remove the enter backspace, and then now I can have it all on 1 line. The biggest thing is you'll want to have different text boxes for anything you want to look different from the other. So you'll see here modern home is in that narrow, not so bold font, and then just listed is very thick and bold. So that's why it's in 2 different text boxes, because then I can have them look different, but now I can size them to each other. So you'll see here, if I want to make sure this is centered, so my just listed is centered in the middle of the document, I'll click on it, and it's going to give me this little either option to rotate the text box, which if I do that, I can twist the angle of my text box and hit back so it will line up again. Or I can choose this, compass type arrow, and now I can move the text box wherever I want around the design. And you'll see here, as I move it, these little pink lines show up to tell me what I'm aligning this text box with. So if I want it centered, I'm gonna wait for this pink line that goes across the entire center of my document shows up.
How do you do that?
Just by clicking on the text, going to this compass guy,
Okay.
and then you can move the entire text box. And then you'll just wanna move it till it aligns in the center,
Gotcha.
right here, and now I know it is centered in my document.
Okay.
The same thing now, since I centered the just listed, maybe I wanna do that with modern home. I'll click that, and I can drag it and make sure it lines up the same way. You can make it stack nice, you can do whatever you like there. And then that way now, modern home just listed is centered and nice and stacked perfectly the way I want it in the middle.
Show me the compass guy again, please.
Yeah. So you'll just click on whatever text, oops, I clicked too much because this is not my computer. Click once, and then it will pull up this little,
That little thing is not doing, it's not making the line. Why wouldn't it make the line on mine?
while you're moving it around. Let me come see. I'm gonna mute this for the people on Zoom and for you.
Oh, there it goes.
Yes, it's as you move it around, it'll show you different lines to
Gotcha.
center.
So, okay.
And then you can do the same thing, it looks like. Yep, just, it might already be center aligned, so you might have to move it away, yep.
Okay. Right, now this one's.
It looks like you over-aligned the riverfront. Oh, you're just trying it out. There you go.
Does it look okay?
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
So that's,
Hey, thank you.
absolutely. That's why I wanted to do this class in here, so I can actually come and see your computers and see what's going on. So that is the text, title. The next thing, maybe I wanna edit the price here. You'll notice in this template, the price, which is crazy, is left aligned. Maybe I want it to be centered, just like my title up top. To do that, I will just click this alignment button, and it switches automatically to center aligned, but if I click again, it's gonna go right aligned, and then it will spread it out. So I like to do the center aligned, and then I know I can drag my text box to the center and make sure it's all lined up, right? I'm a little OCD about things looking lined up. So you don't have to do that, but that's kind of one of my things. The same thing if I want to switch the price, I would just double click, and now I can edit the text. I'm gonna make this a $500,000 home. Oops, that is not the column. There we go. So you can change the price and different things like that. Now, as we know, the graphics that are made in Canva are not necessarily compliant by Illinois law, right? Because anyone can make these templates. Canva chooses things very randomly, or their own designers just make things. So you do have to remember that 99.9999% of the templates you pull from here are not going to be compliant to post or share or do anything with. So that's why having these logos pre-built in makes it really easy to make sure, oh, I drag and drop in, I have the correct Keller Williams logo, I have the correct, each office is independently owned, and I have the equal housing. And if you click that, now you're covered, right? So if I click that, I have this entire image. I'm gonna just put it down somewhere down here. And I'll show you how we can edit this to make it look pretty.
So what are the compliance, mandatory compliance items?
Yeah, So you always need to have the correct Keller Williams Success Realty logo. So that is any of these I have on the left-hand side over here. These are our approved colors from Keller Williams International. So if you find a purple one, it is unfortunately not compliant, right? You have to use either the fully white, the white and gray, red and white and gray, red and dark gray and light gray and black or black. So those are our color options. You always have to have each office is independently owned and operated statement. It does not have to be right below the logo like it is here. It just has to be on your design somewhere. And then you have to have the equal housing logo in visible size.
How can I, within my,
Shrink it?
yeah,
Yep, so when you
when
click on
I
it,
do it, it's disappearing then.
oh, okay. So when you click on it and there's this purple box,
Yeah.
now I have these
Oh,
dots
this time
on
it
the
did.
corner.
Okay, I switched to a different, I picked a different one and it let me
And then
make
you can just drag and drop,
make it smaller.
make it bigger. The only other thing to remember with compliance is that your logo or your name has to fit within the Keller Williams logo at all times. So, and people get confused about this. This does not mean the size of this purple box, because that's what a lot of people will do. They'll go in Canva and they'll be like, my name is the exact size of the logo because the edges of the purple box line up with their name. But what you'll see here is not the logo, right? The entire graphic with the equal housing does not equal the size of the graphic. Our office logo is only the KW, the Success Realty, and the Keller Williams portion. So it's much narrower. So when you line up your name has to fit within the office portion of the logo. Or if you have your own logo, it has to fit within the office portion of the logo, which is why when I help design logos for new agents, I'm always recommending a rectangular logo. Because if you do a circle, it can only be as tall as our logo is tall, right? So it's gonna make your circle super tiny. If you have any questions about sizing, I have a video where I specifically show sizing and compliance that way. But in this design, let's see how we can make this pretty. Because right now I'm putting the logo in, it just looks weird, that sort of thing. So one of the things I might do is edit this box, right? And this is entirely me playing now as a designer of what do I want it to do so that it looks nice and looks the way I want it, but has all the compliance, right? So in this box, if I click on that, and it's easiest to click on it like at the bottom or that sort of thing, because it is layered underneath your image and that sort of thing. Maybe I'll click this little line in the middle and drag it down off the page. So now it doesn't show on the bottom. Now I could move these details around, but I like the way the box looks now. So just the same way as we lock down the image, I can lock down the box. So I control right click on the box, and I'm gonna lock that down. So that way as I edit the things on the bottom, this box isn't going to move on me, right? Because I like the way it looks at the top, I want it to stay there, but maybe I'm gonna play with the compliance stuff at the bottom. Then from here, I know the logo needs to take up a certain amount of room, so I'm probably gonna say this buy now button, I don't want. So I'm gonna click on it and just hit backspace or hit delete. When you click on it, I'm just gonna backspace and delete that buy now button because I don't want it to exist. So I'm gonna just pop it out because when you make a post, it's not gonna have a link attached like if people click on it. So the button, like on the graphic, can be misleading. So that's something I normally just pull from a design. Then you'll see here at the bottom, I have my phone number and my website. I'm gonna stack that together. So if I wanna move both this little globe image and the website URL, what I'll do is I will left click and drag to select both things. And now I can move them together, right? instead of clicking on one and moving it separately. See how I left behind that little globe? Don't want that to happen. So I will left click away from both and just cover them while holding down the left button. And now it will group them together so that I can move them simultaneously in my design. And then line them up with the phone number on the left-hand side. I know that one's sometimes difficult. Everyone feel good about moving multiple things at a time? Uh-oh, not hear a response. We don't say anything, I'm gonna pretend we did. It's good. Because then, because I moved over the website, I can click on my logo now and drag and drop it in on the right side. And then I have my logo in there. And maybe the last thing I want to include is my name. And I want it to go right above my phone number. So I'm going to, again, we're gonna practice it, left click and drag to select all of these. And then I'm gonna drag it down a little bit so I have room for my name. And then from here, we're going to add text. I'm gonna add a subheading because I don't want it to be too big. And I'm gonna type in my name.
You need a mouse.
Yeah, I'm like, yep, nope, that didn't work, nope, that didn't work
It
either.
is easier with a mouse.
Okay.
I will admit, I am too doing it on a laptop and it's hard.
Yeah.
But if you have a mouse, then you can like left click and drag and it's.
Yeah.
So here I've added in the text, I've added in my name. Now, there's a couple things I want to do. One is design. I don't want this to be black, I want it to be white like everything else. So, like we did with the other one click, go up to the text color, and choose your text color. The cool thing about the colors here is that you can choose colors that are already in the document, that's up here, or you can choose pictures from your, color from your photo that you uploaded. So you'll see here I've got like the teals and the green of the bushes from the photo. So you can choose anything that you want, but I'm gonna keep this white. And then, now we're here with compliance. I'm gonna drag this down to see about the sizing of my name versus the logo. You'll see here my name is too long, right? It goes over the edge of the logo. And one of the ways I double check this, and move Zoom screen for a second, go up there, okay. One of the ways I double check this is I'll go down here to the bottom slider and zoom in on my document so that I can really go in nitty gritty and look at the logo. And I see, okay, my name is longer than this Keller Williams, right? Because that's the only part of the logo we count as compliance. The equal housing does not count. I'll go here, and when I click on my name again, you see the text box. We have the little circles in the corner. I'm just gonna go to the bottom right corner and drag and drop it in until my name fits fully within this Keller Williams. That makes my name this size. And then once I know it's sized appropriately, I can drag and drop it over, and now it's in my design like that, and I know it's compliant. Maybe I want my name a little bit bigger, right? Because we all want our name or our logo bigger. I get it, 100%. The only way I can do that is by stacking my name. So when I click on my name, I'm going to put my last name underneath. And I'm gonna go left align so they're nice. And now I can make this bigger. But remember, my name can only be as tall as my logo too. So now we're working on the sizing in height. Is it as tall as the Keller Williams portion of the logo? If I do spacing again, I can change the line spacing to make my last name move closer to my first name. And then I have the option to make it even bigger. And that is compliant because it all fits within the logo. And now it's big in comparison. But frankly, I think that looks stupid. So I'm just going to play with the one that looks like this. Because I think it looks better in the design. But I get wanting to have your name as big as humanly possible, so that's a way that you can finagle and put it around. And now I have this beautiful design, and maybe I decide, okay, my headshot was stupid, bye, and then now this is my design. Woohoo! So this is a very simple templated design. You can always do a lot more, and I'll show you some examples in our last little 20 minutes in our premium session. But let's talk about using this, right? Right now it lives in your Canva. So how do you get it out of your Canva and into wherever you want it to be? So when you're happy with the design, you're going to name it. So whatever text you typed first, it will name your design automatically. So mine, the first thing I typed on this was just listed. So right now it's naming this just listed. But if I was you, I would probably name it just listed and then 123 main, whatever address this is for, right? So first you're gonna name it, and then you're gonna click this share in the upper right. From here, you have a bunch of options, and like I said, you could share this design directly with someone else, but again, you risk them changing everything you just did. So fair warning. But what I normally do is go to this download option. From download, it's going to give me this next scene, and you can choose the file type that you want. So you'll see here, if I click on it, the drop-down menu here, I can choose a JPEG, a PNG, a standard PDF, a PDF for print. If you have premium, you can do an SVG, which is kind of like a higher quality document for printing. The printers might ask for something like this. You can do a video or a GIF. So normally I do PNG. A PNG is an image, it is great for social media. It is great for sharing via email. Most of the things you see when we build emails of templates, trainings that we're having, it's an image that I stick into the email. You guys click on it. We upload these images to the calendar on Talkify, we do all that sort of thing. The only reason I choose PDF, if I wanted to email this as an attachment in an email, so if you made a fillable quiz, right? You would put that in a PDF and an attachment. And then PDF print is the best one if you're going to go to the printer now and print a bunch of flyers for your event, right? The only thing to note with PDF print is it will change the coloring of your document a little bit as it prints, as it switches it to CMYK colors, print colors, versus RGB, which is internet visual color, right? So if you want the colors to match exactly to what you see on your screen, you're gonna do a PDF standard. So it won't convert anything. PDF print will make your colors look a little bit different when it prints, but normally it's fine. Like the KW red for us looks a little bit darker if I do PDF print.
Colleen?
Yeah.
What if, so like, the one that I made is for a new waterfront that we're doing. What would I put it into so that I could move it into something and add like the sound of water behind it to put it in social media? Cause I have to like put it in TikTok, right, to like do that?
Yeah, so you could do that. If you have premium, you could put water noise in it right here and then just export the MP4. That might be a you and me meeting.
Okay, all right, so I'll leave it, I'll save it how it is right now.
But you can always export it. I would say if you're gonna load it into TikTok and then use it, make it an MP4 video already.
Okay.
And then it will load into TikTok as a video. You can load it in as an image, but it's better if it exists as like a 10-second clip already.
Okay.
So that's a good question. But I would say that adding the music and stuff, that's an advanced class. Anything that makes the design move or make sound, and we're like on a different level.
Gotcha.
And then once you click download, it will go into the downloads on your internet browser as usual, and then you'll open it or put it to your desktop to save it somewhere safe. If you get the mobile app of Canva, because I have a mobile app, then what you could do is design on your desktop and download it from your phone, right? So you wouldn't download it here, you could just go in the mobile app and then download something you already made, post it directly to social media, right? So that way you're not like emailing the design to yourself and then saving it and then loading it. You can just get the mobile app and then download the graphic you want to post directly, if you're doing it directly on your phone. That's just a little bit. For me, I schedule a lot of things using a social scheduler. So for me, it works better. I'm on a desktop, save it to my desktop, I load it to my desktop scheduler, and then it gets put for me. Any questions here before I move on to like the cool premium stuff? No? Okay. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen for a second, Zoom people, and open our other thing. Close you. All right, now you guys get a little glimpse into the office account, which might be fun. And nosy, nosy, it's what I do all day. Let me make sure it's moved so that my in-person people can see. There you go. So right now, I am in a premium account, so we use this as the office. You will see in recent designs, like, again, we make hundreds and hundreds of designs. So that's where all these things live. It's where I build all of our flyers, everything, and that way it's accessible to everyone. They log into this account, and if the date of something changed and I'm in Antarctica, someone can come in and switch the date, right? So that's why I like Canva. It's very user-friendly. Someone else could help me out. And I could say, hey, can you go change the date on that flyer? They can go find the flyer, update it. The same thing, it's great for a team. It's like, here's our template for listings, right? This is what we like to use. Now you can have an assistant just log in and drag and drop in the photo you want, right? And they don't have to do much of like crafting themselves. You can use these templates over and over again. So one of the things that I love about Premium, like I said, is the brand hub. And you'll see here, it'll bring you to the brand kit, and then we have the Keller Williams Success Realty brand kit here at the bottom. So you can make your own brand kit, and what it does is it allows you to upload logos. So see, I have 21 different versions of the logos that we can use based off of the design. So you'll see here at the top, these are those compliant ones I was showing before that already have the equal housing, already have the every office statement. But I also have ones without that, because maybe it's a design that has like from something else, every office or each office is somewhere else, right? Then I can just slap the logo on because the compliance statement was somewhere else. And that could be based off of the design we want to use. I can also add in the equal housing logos separately. We have our commercial logos, Ignite, so all the different logos I might use. So this could be, you loaded all of your personal logos, right? You have your white version, your black version, your color version, right, of whatever logo you create for your own team. You can load that in with our Keller Williams logos. If you have a lender you always go in together on events, you could have their logo already prepped here. So that way it's quick and pull when you're making designs, which is one of the best ways. I know, Jennifer, for the Bremer team, we even went a step further and I built the dual logo.
That's what I've got, yeah.
Right next to each other. So you have the perfectly sized Bremer team logo and the perfectly sized office logo, and it's in one design and they just.
Yep, already has each
Slap.
housing, each office independently owned and operated, the whole
So,
9 yards.
You can do that too. You can make it super easy. That way you don't have to.
No, I'm not good. I always fall back. I always end up crying and I call Laura. I'm like, can you just help me? Because I'm so dumb.
We're happy to help. We make tons and tons of things for people.
Yeah, and then Laura does it in 15 seconds and I've
Of
been
course.
crying at my computer for an hour and a half.
Exactly why we say, like, if you're struggling, just bring it to us. Like I said, I make at least 10 designs a day. So if it's something, it can go boom, 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 based off of what you want. The same thing here in the brand hub, you can see colors. So these are the colors I consistently use across most of our designs. So these are the Keller Williams official colors that we took from Keller Williams brand kit. So I can absolutely send you a screenshot of these codes. If these are colors you want to use as well, you would just search like here, if you wanted this gray, it's 6 3s when you're looking for colors in your color picker.
But you have to have the premier.
Correct. To use the brand hub, you have to have the premium. That's everything I'm showing you at this point is premium needed. But I love this because then these colors pop up first, and you'll see it as I go into a design in like my color choices. Instead of looking like, here are all these purples, and it's gonna go, here are your colors. And I can choose that first. I can always choose something else, but I can choose those colors first. You can also, and we did this on my weekly marketing meeting on Monday or the week before, of picking your own colors that coordinate well with these colors. So if you want to pick a blue that really goes with this, or a pink, like to create your own brand, we played with the site coolers and it was super fun. So if you want the recording of that, you can. We have agents who have teal as their main color, have pink, like blush pink is their main color, right? Like you can go with any other color, and maybe then it's just matching it up with the black Keller Williams Success Realty logo or the white one. And then go use teal or purple all you want, right? You can make your brand entirely you. You do not have to use the Keller Williams colors. The only problem is you do have to use our colors on our logo. So choose black or white, and then you can play whatever you want. You cannot make our logo purple. So that's the only downside. Have I seen it? Absolutely, but don't do it. It's not allowed.
I have seen it.
Right? It's totally, you can do it, but I'll warn you now, I can protect you from fines. Because we're seeing more and more of those fines as more and more people do social media.
Who would find, like, why, and not because I want to do it just for information, why would you get fined if it was purple? I mean, who would fine you?
Right, so it's gonna come down from like the MLS and the board the same way as if you uploaded a listing incorrectly. You can get called out for like illegal branding. It's essentially illegal branding from Illinois state rules.
Gotcha, okay.
We must have people they pay to go through all that.
Well, and then there's just like agents that don't have enough business, so all they do is troll.
All
Then
they-
Oh,
yeah.
true.
So essentially, it could be a
So
little
instead of lead generating, they troll.
right, which is
That's it,
just
it doesn't get a business.
silly, because they're still not getting business, right? But we want to protect you guys as much as we possibly can. And the other downside of this is, if one of your posts is wrong, they can look back through all of your old posts and fine you for every single
Gotcha.
one if they're going really hard, right? We haven't had that happen. We've had singular posts get their warnings and stuff, but they can go back through your entire system and fine you for each one.
So as long as it's the right colors, and you've got the equal housing and the each office independently owned and operated, and it's sized right, and it's on it, you're good.
You're good, yeah.
Okay.
And the other thing to note, and that's in the video I made for compliance before, is if you just post a picture of the house, right? You did no editing, you didn't make any graphic. You don't have to slap our logo on the picture, right? We see that all the time. You do not have to put our logo on the picture. What you do need to highlight in the copy that you write is that it's your full name, you are a realtor, and you are with Keller Williams Success Realty. You have to put that in the copy or you are not compliant again.
Okay.
You always have to, if you're posting anything about real estate at all, even if you're like, I'm going to my company meeting at my office, that's about real estate, right? So anytime you post anything that relates to your business whatsoever, at the very bottom of your copy, just put 3 lines. Like I would put Colleen Ochab, realtor, Keller Williams Success Realty. It gets hidden in the copy, right? Because they would have to click see more to like read your whole post, so it gets hidden. So it's not like you're going crazy advertising, but you covered your butt,
Okay.
that if you talked at all about real estate, you acknowledged it.
Okay.
So that's how you get away with just posting a picture, right? So you could say, new listing, da-da-da, here's a pretty picture, and then just go, I'm a realtor, Keller Home Success Realty, at the end. Cover yourself, always, 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 always.
I have a
Because-
question.
yeah.
Sorry, since you're talking about compliance.
Yeah.
Because I know that I got flagged, but I've seen it more and more where, you know, you take a picture of your listing. So I did it, this is like 2 years ago or 3 years ago, and I think you called me and you said, take it down because my sign was in there. So are we allowed to have our sign in there?
Yes,
Okay, so we are,
yeah, you can
And on the
absolutely,
MLS, you can't have your sign.
correct.
okay,
So Laura might have called you and said, ooh,
yeah,
pull that from the MLS, but you can absolutely post on your social
Okay.
media.
okay.
Honestly, your sign would be even better, like more, great, like now you're really highlighting it, right? But that's like, this is just like a quick way, like you just, what I say is that like, I'd rather you get covered and have no problems and go to bed at night like, la la la, I'm good, versus worrying by not doing it. What you'll see here at the bottom too, and this is just quickly since we have 7 minutes left, this is the font section of the brand hub. So if I wanted to use any specific fonts for the titles or my subtitles or body or quotes, you can go in, click here and edit, choose a font for it. You'll see here my document fonts always pop up. This is the font I like to use for the office. Do I have to use it? Absolutely not. We switch it up all the time. But on anything that's like, you'll see it on anything formal, that sort of thing, we created that font. So this is just, I really like the brand hub. You can even put in photos. You can put your headshots all in there. So that way when you're ready to pull a headshot, you can pull those right away. You can choose a lot of different things. So that's why I like the brand hub. It just makes it so much easier to make things and make things quickly. I mentioned before, I love the background remover of the photos. That makes it super handy when I want to layer photos. And then the other thing is the resize that we talked about. But I'm going to go into a more complicated design just to show you guys. Let's see here. What's something good that I just did? Probably this. Okay, so this is for a workshop that we have coming up. And so this one is a lot of layering, so there's a lot more going on here. But this is how you can make flyers for events and that sort of thing. So you'll see here, this is definitely not my normal font, but I'm using it as a bold way to have the title. I have these rectangles that I've added so that I can put a different color behind my text. I've added this little icon and I stacked it with a different one so that it looks like it's got like 3D shape. So there are all different things that you can do when you play in this forever. Like, you're laughing. It's because I'm in here all the time. I can play and play and play. But this is how your designs can get more and more complicated. But you'll see in both ways, both the design we made before and this one, they have a really clean, crisp, professional feel. And it's really cool to see from the one we just made, how easy it is to make it look really sharp and professional just by making things centered, right? Using the same fonts or using compatible fonts, right? All those different things will kind of add up to making a really, really strong graphic. And here, I just wanted to show off the one last thing, the resize. So right now, this design is a flyer, 8.5 by 11. But say I want to make this a social media post square. What I can do is click resize, and again, premium, paid user. And then I can search the same way I did at the beginning when I was crafting a design for the size I want. So I'm going to choose an Instagram post square. And then I wanna keep this flyer, but make a new one. So I'm gonna copy and resize. So I'm making a new design, I'm not messing with my current one. And here it's gonna open an entirely new graphic. And you'll see here, now it's square. But it looks a little weird because it's sized for a flyer, like narrow, and they just put it on a square. So what I would do here is I would click on this, and you see I've locked it down so I can play with the font underneath. But then I'm going to drag and just stretch this and make it go to the edges, right? So you can do all the things you did on the other designs to make this the right shape. Like, see these lines in the background, they don't go to the edge anymore. So I'm gonna unlock them, and I'm gonna drag them, make them bigger, and make them go to the edge of my design. So that way I can start to make this graphic look normal, rather than having like the edges all weird and in. So this is kind of cool. It does, the resize, like I said, it would be really cool if it just resized, like reformatted for you. But it's really quick to like move things around, especially once I move these background images, I can lock them back down. And then I can play with my fonts. So I can drag and drop and, you know, make this bigger or make it smaller or move it over, right? And make all the different things.
How did you do the copy and resize? Where was that little?
Yeah, so you're just
From your
going
original?
to hover over, copy and resize.
Yeah,
So
from your original.
from the original, so this is the 8.5 by 11, you'll go up here and resize. And then you're gonna choose the size you want it to go to. So you might have to search if you want it Facebook,
Okay.
that sort of thing. And then it will,
And then it lights up copy and resize.
it'll copy, and then it will, if you, in the correct one, it will go to a new window
Okay.
on your desktop. Yeah, if you copy and resize.
Right.
If you just hit resize, it just screws
It
up
does it
your
in-
document.
Right, okay. So first copy, then resize.
It's just joined.
Okay.
So when you click resize, and so I'm doing Instagram, it just tells you, do you wanna copy and resize or just resize?
Okay, so when you pick the thing, it gives you the option.
Correct.
Cool, okay.
But that's something that's really handy, especially if, you know, you've made this great flyer for your event, right? And now you're like, I wanna duplicate it, but for a social media post, right? That's easy to post that way. Then you can just copy, resize, and make it sized to a post.
Yeah.
Maybe I wanna post this on my stories too. Now I can copy and paste it to a vertical, right? And so it will take some finagling on each side once you resize it, but it will have.
But everything's already there, so you just have to tweak it.
You just have to tweak, you don't have to retype it, you have to resize, but maybe for the social post, I don't need to put as much content on it as I did on the flyer. So I can delete some stuff out, make it that sort of thing. Maybe add my headshot in instead, like if I have the speakers of this training's headshot, maybe set that in, that sort of thing. All right, it's 12. It's over, but if you guys have any other questions?
How do you save your work if you're in the middle of creating something and you gotta go?
It is automatically saved. So you'll see this little document, or like it's a little cloud with a check mark.
Oh yeah, I'll change it.
It'll say all changes saved. If your internet's a little spotty, double check that there is a check mark on the cloud. If I'm making changes, you'll see as I start to click on this, it does the 3 dots for a second. It goes away really quick because it saves really quick. But if there's those 3 dots, it means that this document hasn't been saved yet. So see how it turns into those 3 dots in the cloud?
Oh yeah, like
That means it is not saved. But as soon as I stop moving my cursor, it goes saved. So everything you do is on it.
And then where do you find it later? You come back?
So when you log into Canva later, it should come up in your recent designs. Or what I do a lot is, so say I'm looking for listing templates that I've built in the past, and I named them listing template. I would search them here, and it's gonna show me either templates from Canva, or I can switch to my own projects. And now I can see oh, these are my listing templates, and you'll see here, I've like copied them for different agents. So if I go into Melanie's, you'll see the first one is still me, but the ones we've edited for Melanie look very different than Carissa because they have different logos and they have different headshots, right? So that sort of thing, it will show you the different content. Good question. You can always confide it, as long as you know what it's named. So name it something smart.
Yes, right.
It makes it way easier. Any other questions, you guys? Are you guys on Zoom? No, that's awesome. Hopefully this helped you guys.
Yeah, this was good.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming.